This is Does Logistics Matter? A podcast on trends and innovations in supply chain and logistics. Answering yes again to the question today is Pieter van den Broecke, Managing Director Netherlands, Belgium and Germany at Manhattan Associates. On this episode, we talk about how consumer behavior has changed, how that impacts the customer journey, and how technology helps retailers deliver on their promise. Please enjoy my conversation with Pieter van den Broecke. Hi Pieter, welcome back to the show.
Hi Martijn, nice to meet you again.
Yes, it's really great to have you back. I remember the last time you were here, we had a very interesting discussion about all the innovations that are happening in warehousing. And for all our listeners interested in warehousing, they should absolutely listen to that episode. The regular listeners to the show know that I always start with the same question, and that's the question: does logistics matter? But you already answered that question, and I'm guessing that the answer is still yes.
So what do you think, Martijn? Absolutely. More
maybe
than ever before.
Yeah, I thought so. This time even more than last time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, there's been so much going on, and times have been crazy. We've been working from home a lot, and it's good to see that that's changing. People will be going back to the office. This has all had an impact on time management and an availability of time, with the lines between work life and home life blurring. This has a huge impact on the customer journey.
Martijn, you're absolutely right. And obviously, by sitting home and shops being closed for some time, or not feeling safe to go shopping, many consumers have been starting to really increase their shopping online. Yeah, and in that situation, and because there's really a lack of time for everybody, like you're explaining, convenience has been really top of mind for the consumer. And convenience in terms of how do I spend my time the most productive, the most effective. And there was no tolerance for waiting for others. So consumers wanted to be really in self-control of their time, and actually do as much self-service as possible. And I think you can actually see in every step of the customer journey. We can discuss examples. Why the consumer wants to have self-service when buying something online. So easiness of buying something is relevant. Easiness to get stuff delivered is very relevant, but also easiness to return products that you have bought or exchange, or get a service from a customer service representative. That also needs to become very easy, so that people are not wasting their time because they don't have enough time anymore to do those things in an imperfect way. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so it's what you're saying is that it's getting to become more than just going to a website, buying something, hitting pay, and then it will be delivered. It's the whole process has become much more complicated than that.
Yes. Let's start with just the buying. Yeah, online buying has always been a self-service activity for the consumer, so nothing has changed there. But the consumer is not really accepting anymore that he or she buys something and doesn't know when it will arrive at home. For instance, at home, this was the traditional option. So informing the consumer in the buying process on the website, in the customer journey over there, on availability of products, availability of delivery options, when can it be delivered, and so on, is really extremely important for the consumer today. So no surprises, because surprises afterwards will again eat time, because surprises needs to be corrected, and the consumer doesn't want to spend time on correcting mistakes. Yeah, that could be avoided. So that's on the buying side. Yeah. But where I think the critical focus today will be, and this is not because we have lack of time, but also because there are players like an Amazon chasing the whole world, is is the easiness to get stuff delivered to
Yeah.
you as a consumer. And so delivery options are becoming really critically important. And as a retailer to be able to offer that, but for a consumer to have that choice. Yeah. And this could have been the easiest option the last 18 months was home, because probably there was always someone at home in the last
Yeah.
18 months. I think so.
I, I
Um,
didn't see a lot of these cards saying "We missed you."
But this is obviously changing now again. Yeah,
Yeah,
even
definitely.
though, and I guess our family members are pushing us out of the home, going back to the office. But so we will have to, we will not always be at home anymore. So delivery option choice for when the stuff has to be delivered is going to be important. On which day, in the weekend, in the weekday, which time slot on a day. Are we then willing to pay for that or not is another question.
Yeah.
But maybe at the pickup point, maybe at my store in the neighborhood, so that when I come in driving home from work, I can pick it up at that store. Maybe it's at the supermarket pickup point. When I go home, I go and do my supermarket buys, my grocery buying, and then I can pick up the product at that same pickup location.
Yeah.
And but also the other way around is going to be important, because we now have the luxury experience of home delivery at any moment in the week, in the month during Corona. So when I go shopping and I have experienced, hey, this is a great product, I touched it, I smelled it, I felt it. I want to get it at home, but I don't want to carry it with me because I don't have a
Oh
car,
yeah. Yeah.
or I don't want to carry it because it's too heavy, or maybe the retailer hasn't got it in stock really what I exactly want. So then the option should be there, the delivery option for the retailer to get it delivered to the location where you want it to be delivered, on the
Yeah.
day you want it to be delivered, in the time slot you want it to be delivered. Yeah. So, and you could have combinations as well. If you want to go out and shop again, which probably all want to do, we just want to
Yeah.
leave the house, we want to go into a store. Um, I and maybe I asked to get it delivered at the store for pickup over there, but then I'm picking it up and I see something else which is really attractive, and I have a bit of money saved because I couldn't spend it in the last 18 months. Maybe I want to buy it in the store and bring
Yeah.
it home in my bag. And this should be just one seamless experience as a consumer. No other basket, so to say, that I have to kind of pay for. It's part of one transaction. I bought something online. I actually add something to my pickup in the store. This is one transaction and one payment that I have to go through. Yeah. So these are the easy to deliver kind of options that are now becoming extremely important for consumers. And then obviously there will be a response by the retailer to be able to offer that. And then the last point I set on the consumer journey is that when we got something in our hands because we bought it and it's got delivered, that's not where the journey ends often.
No. No. Yeah.
Sometimes we want to return it for whatever reason. Sometimes we want to exchange it, and there I predict that the biggest frustration of consumers will start in that area. So we are buying more online. We are even buying more online today than ever before. It will not go
Yeah.
back. So we will now all go into the experience of returning stuff. Yeah. And that also needs to be flexible. It needs to be, it's easy to return because there was always a label in a package that you got delivered at home.
No,
But
that's
even if
true.
I buy something in a store and I took it with me in a bag to home, I also want to have an easy return. Maybe this store was 2 hours away from my home. I don't want to
Yeah.
drive back. I want to send it back.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I want to report that I'm going to send it back self-service. I don't want to call a customer service rep and wait for half an hour before someone is talking to me. I don't want to go through a chat box explaining that I bought something in Amsterdam, but I don't want to drive back to Amsterdam, but that I want to just send it back to you. Yeah, and then that chatbot probably is not going to understand that. So yeah, yeah,
Oh, that's yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah, you
yeah.
make me laugh. Oh, chatbots. Don't get me started. Yeah.
So,
Nice.
so yeah, self-service is absolutely critical today. Empower the consumer and act upon that. And the more easy you make it for the consumer to buy, get stuff delivered and returned, the more you will sell to that consumer. I can tell you.
Yeah, you have to give them options, right? I mean, it's all about options. This convenience. One of my yeah annoyances when I have to return something is when I, for example, have to deliver it to a certain place where there's always a long line. So I'd like to be able to choose so that I can choose the option which enables me to just drop it off at a parcel point because there's never a line and it's in a convenient place. So,
Absolutely. You don't
uh,
want to be locked in a single option.
but the more options you need to give, I guess, the more complex it gets. But
Yeah,
not impossible. But we'll come to
yeah,
that we'll
yeah,
come to that
yeah.
later.
Yeah, yeah. I think the customer journey expressing that because we are consumers ourselves, right?
Yes.
So it's relatively easy to say, I want this and I want that and I want this option. But the retailer is being challenged, right?
Yeah. You may just make me think about the Queen song. I want it all, I want it all, and I want it now. So that used to be. I think that used to be the standard song for the online consumer. And I think that consumers are getting a little bit more sensible in what they want, and in terms of. That's why they want more options because they not everybody wants it tomorrow. They want to
Absolutely,
be able,
Martijn.
not now, but
Yeah.
I want it. Maybe they want it all. I want it all, but I want it Thursday at 8:15. It's a terrible song, but it's an excellent customer experience.
Yeah, I won't try to sing because that's not one of my talents. But yeah, I agree, and consumers also are also becoming more demanding on the sustainability side
Yeah, for sure.
of the value chain, and again, options again will be important from that perspective for the consumer. Yeah.
Yeah,
And this is also something that you need to consider as a retailer. And this will be a gradual transition, but it needs to start with options again. Yeah, and some consumers will choose for the most eco-friendly option.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
you mentioned the word I was gonna talk about already. That's retailer because you're talking about this customer journey, but all these options and these shifting demands at the consumer side, that has a huge impact on the retailer side.
Yes, it has, and obviously, I'm in the technology business serving retailers, and we see that every day.
Yeah.
That retailers are looking for how they can get organized to actually meet those consumer expectations. And not only meet the expectations, but also meet it in a way that they actually still make a profit. Um,
Yeah.
and my point is that don't look at it as a retailer from a cost perspective only, but look at it also from an opportunity perspective, because an omni-channel consumer, so a consumer that you are serving without any barriers, you're buying online, pick up in store, and actually enable the customer journey like we discussed it in
Mm-hmm.
the last few minutes, that will be a more profitable consumer for you. The consumer will buy more, will be more impulsive buys, so you will get more margin. So they will be more receptive to promotions that you're sharing with the consumer. So if you, as a retailer, embrace this customer journey expectation, then you will actually sell more at higher margin, and I can tell you that. So, but what is then the challenge for the retailer, Martijn?
Yeah.
And okay, you're a logistics guy, so I think you will understand what I'm going to say here. But let's say if we first look at the consumer, because the consumer has to be
Mm-hmm.
central. Yeah.
Yeah.
So okay, we logistics is going to enable all of this, but the consumer will need to be still centric. So the retailer needs to establish a single view on the consumer in this omni-channel context, but also will have and will have to serve the consumer regardless of the channel in which the consumer is asking for expectations, having expectations, buying expectations, delivery expectations, return expectations. So the single view on the customer and serving the customer, the consumer, regardless of the channel, is critically important. Yeah. So that is the key number one. Now everything is about delivery. We said delivery options.
Yeah.
So, and I also, easiness of buying, insight on availability, no surprises. So, as a retailer, single view on inventory, regardless of where it is in your network, at a supplier, at a in a store, in your DC, maybe with a partner. If you use marketplace partners, maybe there is also
Yeah.
inventory in their locations. You need to really have a total view on that and be able to translate that in what can I use of that inventory in my network to meet the expectation of this consumer that really is looking at this option and that option. Yeah.
Yeah.
So managing this virtual pool of inventory distributed across your network to meet the expectation of the consumer is going to be important. Expectation will be on speed, on service, but also, if you can do that, looking at your network inventory, manage it as a single pool of inventory, you will also be able to optimize your margin better because you will
Yeah.
look for the most optimal transportation option. You will look for maybe from a commercial perspective that some product you would like to get out of your store because you want to free up space to put the merchandise for the new season into the store, but you don't want to mark down your product too quickly because that is giving away margin. So
Yeah.
if I can now source from my store the online demand and actually use that inventory you
Oh,
want to get
yeah.
rid out of your store anyway, but
You're
still at the
emptying the
full
shelves.
margin,
Yeah.
you are optimizing your margin. Yeah. So again, from the physical aspect of delivery in an omni-channel environment, you can make it a commercial advantage to yourself as a retailer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I think the third, and this is common, and I think it's probably you say I want it all, I want it now. Maybe the catch-all is you need to act at the speed as a retailer of the consumer expectation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and this has a tremendous impact also now on the physical delivery of product,
Yeah.
starting with the warehouse. Yeah, the warehouse is a physical process. You have to go through multiple steps. As we know, inbound. Putting it away, replenishing it, picking it, packing it, shipping it. Um, the demand profiles are changing from week to week, from day to day. So maybe
Yeah.
you have floating bottlenecks in your warehouse. One day
Mm-hmm.
it's your packing zone, the other day it's your receiving area. So your underlying system helping you to manage your warehouse needs to be intelligent enough to identify those bottlenecks and manage the flow of goods through your warehouse in a way that bottlenecks are not stopping you to meet the expectation of the consumer in terms of speed. The
Yeah.
cutoff time will always be there. Yeah, 2 hours from order acceptance. So you have to get it out, and
Yeah.
nobody will listen to you when you say, "Hey, I have a bottleneck in my packing zone." Yeah. So you need to have intelligent systems that can identify floating bottlenecks and do something about that in an
Mm-hmm.
intelligent way. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so artificial intelligence comes into play. Machine learning is important here, so that you can learn from the past and you apply those learnings in your day-to-day
Mm-hmm.
execution.
Yeah.
Execution, which is not just executing because you're very dumbly doing every day the same thing. No, you're every second at every moment of the truth. The moment of the truth is when the customer wants to get the product. At the moment of the truth, you want to think about how can I run my business in the most profitable way.
Yeah.
And this goes to real-time execution level of detail. And then another aspect, which is very important, the last mile, the transportation of the goods from your DC, your store, whatever
Mm-hmm.
location, maybe your supplier, to the point of delivery, whatever that
Yeah.
point of delivery may be, is transportation. And there, I think the key is that leverage your local heroes as much as possible. Yeah. And so integration, connectivity with your local heroes from a carrier delivery perspective is going to be critically important.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, speed of consumer expectation. There's also obviously a volume of consumer demand there that is growing, because you know the units in an order are becoming singles or very few line items.
Yeah.
So I also believe that mechanize everything, automate everything that you can automate.
Yeah.
Um, don't hesitate there.
It's been in the news just recently. I think that just this is off the top of my head, but I think it was UPS that was mentioned and Amazon, and we're talking. They were looking to hire 125,000 seasonal workers. Just I just can't even. I just that I did
No,
that.
no.
That's such a big number.
No, no. I think in the market today, and Corona has also created some challenges with non-availability of labor that
Yeah.
was coming from other countries that had to stay at home, but that was
Yeah.
like a
Yeah.
few hundred kilometers away from the Netherlands or Belgium.
Yeah.
They simply have no access to labor right now.
Yeah.
So, so you need to become less dependent on labor. At the
Mm-hmm.
same time, we should not ignore that labor could also bring flexibility, can
Yeah.
bring creativity and allow you to experiment before you really automate something. You want to experiment, and that's what you do with people, right? So people is still going to be important, but that
Yeah.
combination of speed, volume, bottlenecks, cutoff times, customer expectations, mechanization, you need to have the right technology today to be able to handle all of that in a in a
Yeah.
in a in a in a in a in a orchestrated way, yeah, in an effective way as well.
Yeah, talking about technology on the retailer side, yeah, I see it when I go to certain stores that you just pick your things and then you go to the self-service cash register, and the cash register just sees what's in your basket, and you only have to hit pay and you can leave. So I'm guessing that that's the RFID technology that must have more uses.
Yeah, absolutely, Martijn. Actually, you're making a very good point. RFID indeed has been picked up very nicely for store applications. But what I'm also starting to see more and more with our customers is RFID being picked up as a technology enabler in the warehouse.
Mm-hmm.
And a very nice example is to try to become an as touchless warehouse as possible.
Yeah.
And for instance, on the receiving end, where you're receiving boxes as a retailer, they go through an RFID tunnel, and then the system actually knows, what's in the box, how much is in the box, compares that to the purchase order or the advanced shipping notice that contains all the details. And then if that matches, then the box strictly goes into the warehouse and can be further processed. And actually also that product is then becoming available for your commerce system so that you can sell it within the minute of receiving. You can start selling it because you already know that you have it in the warehouse. But at the same side, what I also see is that in knowing what's in your basket when you're doing the checkout in a store, what I also see is that for certain type of products, and let's say typically custom-made products, and this could be
Mm-hmm.
in fashion, but also non-fashion, that if you put a unique RFID identifier onto that product, and it stays with the product, from the very, in the delivery cycle, when you're as a retailer still preparing the shipment, the delivery, and
Yeah.
delivering it, but also once the consumer actually is using it, maybe go back to the store or to you as a retailer and wants to get a service, that the retailer immediately knows based on that RFID tag, oh, this is this customer, this is this product, this was purchased then, etc., etc. And that then
Yeah.
again, the easiness of serving the customer after the sale is warranted. Yeah, and you don't want to have, you as a consumer, you don't want to be looked at by a store representative like you're coming from Mars because you're returning
Yeah.
something. No, you want to be known, and I'm Peter, and I've bought this before. You don't want to explain all of that. They should know that when they see you.
Oh wow, Peter, that's a really great example. So as I started the podcast talking about change, and a lot has changed, and thank you for talking about how things change in the consumer journey, but also on the retailer side. You talked about convenience. You talked about the importance of delivery and the single view of the customer for the retailer and the single view of the inventory. So you ended with technology, and for me, that's one of the most exciting subjects in supply chain and logistics. Do you have any technology advice for our listeners?
Absolutely, Martijn, absolutely. My advice is that retailers have to, first of all, put the consumer centric. And my second advice is that they have to embrace technology such that logistics can continue to be the key enabler to meet the consumer expectation for today and tomorrow.
Excellent advice, Pieter. Thank you very much for being on the show again. You've blown my mind a few times. Thank you for sharing your knowledge.
You're more than welcome, Martijn. Looking forward to our next session.
Thank you. Thank you for listening to Does Logistics Matter? For more on trends and innovations in supply chain and logistics, visit our blog on logisticsmatter.com. This podcast was recorded and produced by Dimitri Vleugel. The music is based on a sample by Ragaman and produced by Michael Spengler. This episode was sponsored by Manhattan Associates. Manhattan Associates is a technology leader in supply chain and omnichannel commerce. They unite information across the enterprise, converging front-end sales with back-end supply chain execution. Their software, platform, technology, and unmatched experience help drive both top-line growth and bottom-line profitability for their customers. For more information, visit www.manh.com. That's MANH.com.